What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, your body might be missing one of the most powerful cancer-fighting substances ever studied by science? Not a new drug, not an expensive treatment, something so simple, so cheap, and so available that the pharmaceutical industry has absolutely no interest in telling you about it. In fact, the less you know about it, the better it is for their profits. Today, we are going to change that. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you are about to discover could be one of the most important things you ever hear, especially if you are over 60. And if you have a family member dealing with cancer, or you are simply trying to protect yourself, I need you to pay very close attention to every word I say. There is a mineral that every single cell in your body depends on. Your thyroid needs it. Your immune system needs it. Your breast tissue, your prostate, your stomach lining, they all need it. And yet, studies suggest that up to 96% of the population in Western countries is deficient in it. This mineral is iodine. Now, you have probably heard of iodine before. Maybe you remember it as that orange liquid your grandmother used on cuts and scrapes. But what most people do not know, what doctors rarely mention during a routine checkup, is that iodine plays a critical role in your body's natural ability to identify and destroy abnormal cells. In other words, cells that could become cancer. When your iodine levels are too low, this protective mechanism weakens, and the consequences, according to decades of research, can be devastating. Let's talk about the science, because this is not speculation. This is not alternative medicine. These are real studies published in peer-reviewed journals that somehow never make it to mainstream news. A landmark study published in the journal Biological Trace Element Research found that iodine has direct apoptotic properties, meaning it can trigger the programmed death of cancer cells while leaving healthy cells completely unharmed. Think about that for a second. A natural mineral that tells cancer cells to destroy themselves. Another research project conducted at the National Institute of Public Health in Mexico showed that iodine deficiency was strongly associated with a significantly higher risk of developing breast cancer. And this is not an isolated finding. Multiple studies have linked low iodine levels to increased risks of thyroid cancer, stomach cancer, and prostate cancer. The evidence is there. It has been there for decades. So why isn't your doctor talking about it? That is exactly what we are going to explore next. And the answer might surprise you, or perhaps it won't. Here is something worth thinking about. Iodine cannot be patented. It is a natural element. It exists in nature. No pharmaceutical company can own it, trademark it, or charge thousands of dollars per dose for it. And in the world of modern medicine, if something cannot generate massive profits, it rarely receives massive attention. The cancer treatment industry is worth hundreds of billions of dollars per year. Chemotherapy drugs, radiation equipment, hospital stays, follow-up medications. Each diagnosis generates an enormous amount of revenue. Now, I'm not saying doctors are bad people. Most of them genuinely want to help their patients. But the system they work within is designed around treatments that can be monetized. A mineral you can buy for a few dollars at a health food store simply does not fit that model. This is why nutritional deficiencies are almost never discussed in oncology offices. This is why iodine research remains buried in academic journals instead of making headlines. And this is why you are only now, possibly for the first time, hearing about this connection. 100 years ago, iodine deficiency was so widespread in certain parts of the United States that entire regions were called the goiter belt, named after the swollen thyroid glands that resulted from years of iodine starvation. The solution back then was simple and effective. Iodine was added to table salt, and the problem largely disappeared. But here is what happened next, and this is where the story takes a dangerous turn. Over the past few decades, health-conscious people began switching away from table salt to sea salt, Himalayan salt, and other gourmet alternatives, none of which contain added iodine. At the same time, the food industry began replacing iodine-based additives in bread and baked goods with bromine, a chemical that not only fails to provide the benefits of iodine, but actually competes with iodine in your body and blocks its absorption. Add to this the fact that our soils have become increasingly depleted of minerals due to industrial farming, and the result is a population that is chronically, silently, dangerously low in one of the most essential nutrients for cancer prevention. Now let's talk about what you can actually do about this starting today without spending a single dollar. The richest natural sources of iodine on the planet are sea vegetables, particularly seaweed. Kelp, nori, wakame, and dulse are extraordinarily rich in iodine and have been a staple of Japanese cuisine for centuries. It is worth noting that Japan has one of the lowest rates of breast cancer and thyroid disease in the world, and many researchers believe their traditionally high iodine intake is a significant contributing factor. Beyond seaweed, other excellent sources include wild-caught cod and other ocean fish, which absorb iodine naturally from seawater. Eggs from pasture-raised chickens contain meaningful amounts, as do dairy products from grass-fed cows. Cranberries and navy beans also contain iodine, though in smaller quantities. If you are not currently eating these foods regularly, and most people in Western countries are not, your iodine levels may be much lower than they should be. And if you are over 60, the stakes are even higher, because your body's ability to absorb and utilize minerals decreases naturally with age. This is a question many people ask, and it deserves a careful, honest answer. Yes, iodine supplementation exists and is widely available. Forms like Lugol's iodine solution and potassium iodide tablets have been used for over a century. However, and this is very important, iodine is one of those nutrients where more is not always better. Taking too much iodine can actually disrupt thyroid function and cause its own set of problems. This is why it is absolutely essential that before you begin any supplementation, you speak with a qualified healthcare provider and ask specifically for an iodine level test. Most standard blood panels do not include this test, so you need to ask for it directly. A simple urine test can reveal whether you are deficient. If you are, working with a doctor to restore your levels through diet and carefully monitored supplementation could be one of the most proactive health decisions you ever make. So let's bring everything together. You now know that iodine is a powerful, natural, scientifically studied compound with direct anti-cancer properties. You know that the majority of people in Western countries are deficient in it. You know why this information is not prominently featured in mainstream medicine. And you know which foods can help restore your levels naturally. Here is your action plan. First, look at your diet this week and honestly ask yourself how often you eat iodine-rich foods like seaweed, ocean fish, or eggs. If the answer is rarely or never, that is something worth changing immediately. Second, consider switching back to iodized salt for your everyday cooking. It is one of the simplest interventions available. Third, schedule a conversation with your doctor specifically about iodine levels and ask to be tested. Fourth, share this video with someone you care about, a parent, a sibling, a close friend. Because the people most at risk are often the ones who have been eating a restricted or simplified diet for years without realizing what they might be missing. We live in an age of extraordinary medical technology, and yet some of the most powerful tools for protecting our health are hiding in plain sight. In the ocean, in the foods our grandparents ate, in minerals that have existed on this planet for billions of years. Iodine is not a miracle cure. It is not a guaranteed shield against cancer. But the evidence strongly suggests that maintaining adequate iodine levels is one of the most important and most overlooked things you can do to support your body's natural defense systems. And in a world where cancer affects 1 in 3 people, that is not a small thing. That is everything. If this video opened your eyes to something you had never considered before, please take a moment right now to like this video. It helps more people find this information who genuinely need it. Subscribe to this channel if you want to keep receiving content like this, content that goes beyond the surface and gives you real, evidence-based information to protect your health and the health of the people you love. And leave a comment below telling me, did you know about the connection between iodine and cancer before today? I read every single comment, and I would love to hear your thoughts.